Board of Appeals, please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application, and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin tonight, there is one adjournment on our adjourned calendar. It's application 23067, property located in Lindenhurst. Is there anybody here on that application? It is being adjourned to July the 27th, 2023. First application tonight is application 23091 of Gary and Andrea Holmgren, property located in West Babylon. Yeah, I'll do it now. I just would like to ask, is there anybody on the board that feels that they would have to recuse themselves on this application? No? Okay. Name and address for the record.
1 Anita Court, West Babylon, New York.
Andrew and Gary Holmgren.
Okay, do you both affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 6, 2023, Environmental Control memo dated July 7, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Thomas Zawala, last dated February 14, 2023. There is a second. The same actually survey, but with a number of things drawn in regards to the application. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 photographs.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
We are looking to increase the.
Could you just pull it down a little bit? Yeah, there you go.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, great. We're looking to increase our total building area in order to construct a pool in ground 16 by 28. In order to do that, we're going to remove the 4 sheds that are on the property, as well as an wooden deck that is also located on the property, so that we are in accordance with the percentage.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
Okay, so you guys don't plan on replacing any of the sheds
No,
ever? What about the deck? Not at all?
not at all.
Okay. And you will maintain the fencing around the property that's
Absolutely.
necessary?
Absolutely.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
All right, I make a motion to approve application 23-091.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Waiting for me. Next application is application 23092 of Linda Morales and Casey Filippone, property located in North Babylon. Name and address for the record, please.
John Teufel, Teufel, professional engineer, 707 Route 110, Farmingdale.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 6, 2023, Environmental Control memo dated July 7, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A Suffolk County Planning memo dated July 5, 2023, decision of local determination, take no position for or against. A survey by Aerial Land Surveying, dated October 26, 2022, tax map acting as an area map, and
Mr. Chairman, we have 10 photographs in the site plan by Norman Locke, dated January 10th, 2023.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm here tonight with Casey Filippone and Linda Morales, the owners of 153 Greenwood Drive, North Babylon, who are seeking west and total side yard variances to maintain an existing cellar entrance. The zone is Residence B, where 12-foot single and 30-foot total side yards are required, and we're requesting a 4.3-foot west side yard setback and total side yards of 11 feet. We'd like to point out what we feel to be a significant factor in this variance is that the subject lot is only 60 feet wide, where 80 feet width is required, and thus it's of a substandard width, which is the main reason for the variance. The cellar entrance was inadvertently constructed in January of 2023 as part of the permitted finished basement project, which just passed its final inspection this Tuesday, June 11th. We have the inspector's report here. The finished basement application permit was successful. It was, the inspection was passed. Ms. Morales' contractor led her to believe that no additional permit was needed to add the cellar entrance and emphasized the egress safety aspects of having that entrance. Made sense to her. She just believed the contractor. The most affected neighbor to the west has no problem with the cellar entrance. Ms. Morales lives in this Cape Cod with her spouse, Casey Filippone, and her spouse's brother. There is no apartment. There's only one kitchen in the residence. Again, the basement was just inspected. They really love the area and respectfully request that this relief be granted so they can keep this cellar entrance. And that completes our case.
Good, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
So we got a permit to finish the basement, we didn't get one for an outside entrance, is that what I'm? Is that what-
Correct.
They don't have a CO for the
Right.
basement.
No,
Right, they just had the inspection on Tuesday.
there was an inspection, yes, but nobody, I mean, we're finishing the basement, you don't think we need to include the exterior entrance?
Well, that wasn't part of the permit. The permit was just for a finished basement, not for the exterior entrance. But again, the contractor, I think, kind of gave her sort of a bill of goods just to get, the extra work, that there was no permit needed, and that'll help if there's a fire or something, you can get out. And we all know that that's not an excuse to violate a setback. But to the average homeowner, it makes sense, and unfortunately, they believe this story.
Why did they need this?
The extra entrance?
Yeah.
Just, it seemed nice to have. I know they entertain a lot, especially in the better weather. This way you can come in and out. There is a basement, a bathroom down there, so if you're entertaining in the backyard, it's nice. People can just go down there, use the bathroom, and not have to go into the main part of the house.
I'm gonna recommend that you get back in touch with the planning department regarding the outside entrance. And this-
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, sir.
What alternatives there may be to the basement entrance?
Alternative,
The basement entrance is the problem here, okay? So is there alternatives to that basement entrance? In other words, like an egress window or something of that nature?
okay, well, obviously the homeowner, it's already been built, and they would like to keep it, obviously. It's unfortunate, the situation, that they were led to believe that it was okay.
They should talk to the contractor too. I don't know, you're 4 feet from the property,
But as I mentioned, the lot is only 60 feet wide, so it's a substandard lot.
Have they been renting the basement out?
No, there's no apartment there.
We just moved here. Yeah,
Yeah, hold on.
You have to come up.
I'll let you
can
come up
if
and
you
speak.
want.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay. If you want to speak, ma'am, you can speak.
Well, no.
You have to swear in, I think.
Need your name and address for the record?
Casey Filippone, 153 Greenwood Drive, North Babylon.
Okay, and you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to go back to your question. So we were planning on applying for the permit to finish the basement, and we bought the house in November. So our contractor was trying to get ahead of the ground freezing over. So he started that before we went ahead with the permit. So that's why we're adding it onto it. And we're not renting it out. There's no kitchen down there or anything. It's just a finished basement with an outdoor entrance and a bathroom.
Okay.
Anything else you want to tell us?
So if there was a recommendation to remove the basement entrance and put an egress window, would you entertain that thought?
I mean, if
You're going to have to meet with planning, and maybe they'll
Right.
give you other options as far as that goes.
Sure. I mean, obviously, like we said, we would like to keep it because it is already existing and it is for safety purposes as well, just a good extra exit. But obviously, you know, your decision will impact what happens with that. I am curious, if we had something from our neighbor next door who doesn't have an issue with it, would that have any impact?
We would accept anything that you would give us,
Okay,
whether it has an impact or not, but, you know, that's,
okay.
you know,
So we could get, okay.
thank you.
That's cool.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll keep it brief. So again, substandard lot, the west neighbor has no problem. That basically completes our case.
Okay, let me just find out, would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail. I suggest that you get in touch with the planning department.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
The next application is application 23088 of Dixon Gas Corp., property located in Copeg. Name and address for the record, please.
Louis J. Capasso, 3 Atlantic Avenue, number 196, East Moriches, attorney for the applicant, Dixon Gas Corp.
Thank you. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 6, 2023, a Environmental Control memo dated July 11, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A set of plans for the monument sign and landscaping submission by Alan Fox, dated April 25th, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map. And,
Chairman, we have 5 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, well, this is the last step in a long process. We were previously before the board when we needed site plan approval and the various variances. This is the last step. The monument sign has always been part of the site plan, and throughout the whole process, we had worked closely with the planning department and the building department, which want to explain why the original site plan had a sign that was significantly higher. When we got the denial, after conferring with the town and the client, my client again, we submitted a building permit application for a 8-foot sign, an 8-foot tall sign. And the reason why we need 8 feet is because at the base of the first 2 feet from the ground up is the support for the sign, and also attached is the landscaping plans, where the landscaping plan has been approved. We're planting bushes and plants that are 18 inches high. When we plant them, we're going to have to trim them because they go, they're going to go up to the 2 feet. Furthermore, the state requires that the prices be posted, so my client is just in keeping in line with his standards. As far as the setback reduction from 10 feet to 3.5, again, this was incorporated from when we first sat down with the planning department. And the square footage of the sign, other than the prices of his product, which he's required to post in a conspicuous manner, and the branding of it, that's all we have there. As far as in the department, in the planning department memo, it makes mention of the legal signage. My client had already remove that. I have photographs I could submit to the secretary. And lastly, my client took a blighted site, improved it. You could see by the photographs, it was something that the town was encouraged with and wanted to keep it a working gas station. And there are no complaints. And there are CNRs as far as hours of operation. So the sign is only going to be lit during those hours.
So would it be going in the same location as where you guys have the gas price now? Would it be on that same exact corner?
It's on that corner. It's indicated on the first page of the site plan. Right on that corner, yes.
Okay, and on that site plan, it shows that the sign is 12 feet high?
No, it's going to be 8 feet high.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that.
Yes,
So the width would be 12 feet?
yes.
And the height is?
12 and a half,
13
I believe.
2 feet for the base and then 6 feet for the sign itself?
Yes.
And with the sign, are you guys, what are the hours of operation?
To 11.
So the sign will be turned off from 11 till
Absolutely. It's only
opening?
going to be illuminated during business hours.
Okay, and then, I was there today, you guys have a bunch of banners and
They were removed.
unpermitted signs?
They were removed.
Okay. I mean, or you can try to get, legalization for it, whatever. All right, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23-088
Second.
for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Like monuments, I think we're a little better. Next application is application 23095 of Danny Collado, and tenant is Yongfang LLC, property located in Deer Park. Name and address for the record, please.
Marcella Granada, 10 Dartmouth Drive, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
My name is Jian Yun Zim, 6 Hickory Hill Road, Dexter, New York, 11746.
You guys get that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you both affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 6, 2023, environmental control memo dated July 12, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Survey by Barry Farr dated August 6, 2022. Tax map acting as an area map. A set of plans, Long Island Engineering and Architecture. Last dated, updated 3/7/23. And,
4 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening, Board. So the applicant we are requesting to diminish the off-street parking for this property. This is a restaurant that was converted from a pizzeria to a 25-seat Dominican restaurant. This was approved by the board, planning board, on April 17, 2023. This is, again, the last step of a very long process. They wish to diminish the parking requests from 43 to 41 so that they can get their permit to continue and open their restaurant.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Correcchia.
Okay, I have no, the request is minimal. And I do have a question, and it doesn't pertain to this application, but the windows are all blocked and closed. Is there a reason for that, or?
Bobby, you want to say something? Bobby?
I mean,
This is the 10.
They were
Sorry,
wide,
the
wide
tenant.
open windows, and now they're all blocked up. You know, there's only like a minimal amount of 1 foot of glass on the top all the way around.
I need your name and address for the record.
Bobby Singh, 192 Old Westway Road, Old Westway. The reason those windows are closed because the name Fagon means, like, you know, from in the village, everybody gets together and they put a big pot and cook there. So all the windows of the houses are small. So we wanted to depict that into this location.
But, I mean, what about the lighting? I mean, it's got to be dark in there.
No, we got lighting, good lighting. And it's a restaurant. People kind of come in, and the thing is, it looks really ugly if you're sitting inside with those big windows. You see coals, you know, you see the parking lot. Some people, they're going to come in, you know, they just want to eat, enjoy with their families, and that's it.
Looks like an English fortress right now from the outside. Okay, I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 23-095.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Mark, I just need you to give them a spelling of your name.
You put on here?
Next application is application 23077 of Rayner's Auto Supplies, property located in West Babylon. Name and address for the record.
Joseph Reiners, 7 Hollow Court, Bating Hollow, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 6th, 2023, environmental control memo dated July 11, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A fire marshal's report dated July 13, 2023. They have no objections. What was this for? Oh, Suffolk County Planning Memo dated July 13, 2023. Decision of local determination, take no position for or against. Survey by Vito Valenti, dated November 28, 2001. Tax map acting as an area map, and...
Chairman, we have 3 photographs.
Okay. Would you like to tell us about the application? What would you like to tell us about? Yeah,
Oh, I'm just trying, oh, you talking to somebody else. I'm just trying to renew my CO that expired and conduct my business.
Okay. I will turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
All right, so the permit expired in 2020.
Yes.
What's the delay in renewing?
Delayed in the past 3 years. I've had COVID twice, and I have stage 3 renal failure. So I kind of stayed away from a lot of people.
Understandable. Do you have secretaries or anyone that may be able to uphold the responsibility of coming in and making sure this renewal is up to date moving forward?
Moving forward, yes.
Moving forward, yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
That's why on the papers now, I have my landlord on there as well.
Perfect,
Not
perfect.
just myself.
Okay, so the fencing between the 2 lots, just for the record, was that erected?
There's a fence between the 2 properties.
Okay.
There's a chain link and there's a wooden fence.
Okay.
Between the 2 properties.
So driving by some time ago, there were probably 7 to 10 cars on the lot. Recently, there were about 4 cars on the lot. We want to maintain the 4-car storage.
Yes.
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 Okay. And the signage, the banners, the streamers, we need that taken down. You got streamers there?
No, I've American flags.
American flags.
American flags and balloons.
Okay. Okay. One other thing, though. The site is not... Okay, that's fine. All right. I'm mixing two things up. Okay, good. So we're going to maintain the 4 cars.
Yes.
And the fence has been erected, and you'll have someone to uphold
Correct.
the renewals. All right, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
All right.
No, we got the Suffolk County plan, yeah, we're good.
Good? I make a motion to approve application 23-077 for 1 year
Second.
with the recommended conditions stated on the
Favor?
planning memo.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Feel better. Next application is application 23089 of Ruggiero Properties LLC, property located in West Babylon. Sure. Next application is application 23090 of Rockwell Industries International Corp., property located in Amityville.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Let me hand this up.
Please, thank you.
We're just commenting you have more people with you than we do.
I know. Sorry. I'll try to be brief. Can I hand this up? We'll just-
Name and address for the record?
Anthony Guardino, law firm of Farrell Fritz, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant, Rockwell Industries. Good evening. Let me know when I
For
should
the
begin.
record, we have a planning division memo dated July 10, 2023, environmental control memo dated July 12, 2023. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. Fire marshal's report dated July 13, 2023, has no objections. A tax map, a few tax maps acting as area maps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why. We have a site plan by Boulder Engineering, Joseph Deal, last dated April 26, 2023. A survey by Control Point Associates dated June 29th, 2022. And?
4 photographs, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. So again, good evening. Nice to see you all again. So I represent Rockwell Industries International, which is seeking a number of variances in order to expand its existing manufacturing and warehouse building by adding 10,903 square feet of warehouse space. So I have with me tonight Dale Koch from Bowler Engineering, Ethan Shikoski from Atlantic Traffic and Design, and also Gabriel Valls from Anrock Builders Group, who represents the owner. The site is about 2 acres in size. It is located at 6,000 New Horizons Boulevard in Amityville. The site is currently improved with a 1- and 2-story manufacturing and warehouse building that was constructed in 1985. Has about 21,500 square feet of space. The applicant is proposing, as I mentioned, to add just under 11,000 square feet of additional warehouse space to accommodate its growing business. The property is zoned Planned Industrial District 1, which allows manufacturing and warehouse uses. I do point out that the lot is a through lot, so it has about 150 feet of frontage on New Horizons Boulevard and about 100 feet of frontage on Copeg Road in the rear. As the memo mentions, the staff memo, the planning board approved the site plan for this proposed expansion on June 5th of 2023. The area surrounding this parcel is primarily industrial. However, there are some residential uses across Copeg Road that are located in the C residential district. These homes are located about 200 feet from the proposed building addition and on the opposite side of a dense vegetated portion of land that will not be disturbed. The application does seek a number of variances in order to allow for this building addition to accommodate the growing business. The building that's there today no longer works for Rockwell, so it needs to either expand the building or needs to consider moving elsewhere. It wants to stay here. The building was designed to complement the other buildings in the area and will be an improvement over the other older industrial buildings that exist in that industrial park today. The expanded warehouse will add 1 overhead door and 3 flush loading dock doors in the northern elevation and 1 overhead door on the eastern elevation. The addition will be located next to a parking lot and 2 sports courts that are actually located on a neighbor's property. It looks like it's a portion of our property, or at least a little appendage looks like it's part of our property. It's not, but there is a sports court there. I don't think it's being used. It's actually, in the photograph, it looks like it's in much better condition than it is when I went out there about a month and a half ago. The proposed building will be set back, a building addition, I should say, will be set back about 95 feet from Copeg Road and will be screened by that vegetative buffer that lines Copeg Road. And that's about 70 feet deep. Also, there's the roadway itself. Copeg Road is 50 feet wide, and there's the backyards of the homes that are adjacent. So I think I measured the nearest house as being about 200 feet away from this building wall. There will be no access to and from Copeg Road, and that was important to the residents who spoke at the planning board. They wanted to make sure that there was not going to be any access out to the other road. With the proposed expansion, the site's going to require 73 parking stalls as per the town code, but will provide 47 spaces. So there is relief obviously needed from this board. And as Ethan Shikoski is going to testify shortly, the 47 spaces will satisfy the site demand during periods of typical peak parking demand based on the parking accumulation study that was performed by his firm at the site. The other variances we need are all dimensional variances. So we need a minimum rear yard setback. We're at 25.4 feet. The code requires 30, so we're pretty close. It's only about a 15% deviation. And this variance is due to the irregular shape of the property, which is adjacent to the 68-foot deep landscaped area owned by the neighbor. So I don't know if you can see it I'm looking at it on the aerial there. There's like a little tail of the neighbor's property to the south that kind of just juts out behind where this warehouse building is going to be. So the rear yard is not a portion of the rear yard of this lot is not Copeg Road, but that piece of property. So that's why we're so close. But we're not actually close to the road at all. We're just close to that little jut out and from the neighboring property line. With the additional 68 feet from that neighboring property, the building is 93.4 feet away from the road. So it's set back quite a bit, which is more than 3 times what the code allows, or requires, I should say, not allows. The maximum building and parking coverage, 70% is permitted. We're at 72.5%, so that's a 3.6 deviation. That's pretty modest. And the minimum landscape coverage, 30% is permitted, permitted, and we're at 27.5% proposed. That's only an 8% deviation. So these 2 variances that I just mentioned are both a result of this expansion and the parking lot reconfiguration, but as the staff memo points out, they acknowledge that these are minimal variances. The last one is the minimum landscape buffer on the rear and south sides. 10 feet is required. We're at 5.4 feet is proposed. So that's a more significant buffer, but again, you know, it's just for the drive aisle that's behind the, or that gives access to the overhead door that is facing towards the east. But again, next to that is this narrow, you know, it's a narrow landscape buffer, but it's adjacent to the 68 feet of woods that takes you all the way to Copeg Road. So at this time, I guess I will introduce Dale, if you wouldn't mind just kind of walking through the site plan briefly and just pointing out where the variances, you know, where the points are that create the variances, and then we'll go to Ethan.
All right.
Thank you.
Need your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. Good evening. Dale Koch with the firm Bowler Engineering. We're located at 275 Broad Hollow Road in Melville, New York. As Mr. Guardino stated, this is a...
You affirm to tell the truth? Okay.
Of course.
Just say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You got it.
Thank you.
So I'll try and be brief. Please, if you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt me as I go. But Mr. Guardino did a very good job explaining the site. It's an 11,000 square foot building addition to an already existing to an existing warehouse located on New Horizons Boulevard. Access to the site is only achieved from New Horizons Boulevard, with the parking stalls running the length of the site along the length of the building from west to east generally. Part of those variances that we're requesting is the overall lot coverage. A big portion of that coverage is being driven by the parking lot, and as we've learned doing a lot of these industrial type warehouses, you need a little bit of extra space for the truck maneuverability from the loading docks and as they turn in and out of the site. So in the back portion of the property, there's some striped area and loading zones. They're a little bit generous in size, but this is really just to make sure that trucks can get in and out of those loading docks, which are located on the northeast corner of the proposed building addition. That area is also along the same rear yard setback that we talked about with the landscaping. We worked very closely with the planning department, and they came back with some recommendations about improving that landscaped area and just kind of, you know, inserting some more mature, better screening trees along that landscape buffer where we can. So the landscaping plan that you have before you is proposing a pretty generous landscape buffer. You know, 10 feet's required, but we're proposing, you know, a buffer that's going to create about 15 feet of new evergreen trees, and that will substitute in between what's already there today. So overall, when you have frontage along Copeg Road, the buffer is going to be very strong on the east side of our parking lot. And then just the buffer in general, so you have the 5.5 foot setback to that property line, but that is to the small jog in the property. So you have another 68 feet to Copeg Road, which is then where you would have the neighboring properties. So ultimately, where we can, we're actually maintaining a 30-foot minimum. It's really closer to about 32 feet along the length of the parking lot of buffer along Copeg Road. And then as you go further to the south, that property line setback is where you get the 5.5 feet. You know, but in general, the site circulates really well. As I said, we have a little bit of extra room for our drive aisles to ensure that we have good maneuverability for the trucks coming in and out of the site, and also any fire apparatus that would, in the event of emergency, have to enter the site. Updating new ADA stalls and ADA pathways into the building, and then just a general refresh for the landscaping, you know, as I discussed, you know, coordinated with the planning department. That's really it. If we have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
Any questions from the board? Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So, if you wouldn't mind, I know in this planning staff memo that they made it very clear that they wanted the zoning board to hear testimony about parking. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have an expert here.
Name and address for the record.
Yes, Ethan Shikoski with Atlantic Traffic and Design, 275 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Looks like tell us.
Yes, so We performed a traffic and parking study at the site. We find with recent research for this type of use, for this manufacturing, light industrial use, doesn't have a very high parking demand. Nonetheless, we wanted, since this is a tenant that's going to be continue to operate in the same facility, we thought it prudent to go out and observe their actual parking demand on the site. We went out during a peak parking demand, and we observed a max parking demand of 20 parked vehicles in the midday, whereas the current site has 92 parking stalls. So it's only about 21% of the site occupied. And we also noted, if you look at the site, the parking as you first enter in front of the building is where it's most occupied, which makes sense. You know, mostly employee parking, and you're going to park closest to the door. Whereas on the east side of the site, where there's the parking field that's actually going to be removed as part of this application, where the building's expanding, there was really very, very low parking demand. Maybe a truck once throughout the day while it was loading, and that was really it, which makes a lot of sense. So this application, it makes sense in that you'd expand into that area where there's really no parking to begin with. With the expansion of the building and potential increase of employees, we project a max parking demand of 31 parked vehicles after the development, which with the 47 proposed parking stalls would be about 65% of the lot occupied, which leaves plenty of reserve capacity. I also took a look at the Institute of Transportation Engineers parking demand for the site, just to get an idea of, should it be reoccupied by a different tenant, what your average parking demand for this type of facility would generate. That had a similar result, about 27 parked vehicles on the site, or about 57% of the site occupied during peak demand. So happy to answer any other questions.
How many, well, maybe it's, go ahead, you go.
How many employees does the company have right now?
Currently, they have 24 employees. They expect they might go up to 29. And again, 47 parking stalls on site. So between shift changes and maybe occasional guests and deliveries, there's still more than sufficient parking on site.
What were the peak hours that you did?
So with a use like this, it's typically midday. There might be an early morning, I don't know the exact shift times, but there might be an early morning shift and then a shift of employees for a later afternoon plus deliveries. So we looked from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and that's generally for this type of use when you have the most parking demand with employees on the site.
So the earlier shift, you wouldn't know how many employees come in during that morning?
I don't have those exact numbers, but I think someone can speak
But
to
you
that.
would have enough parking for...
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Thomas Malone, 33 Gracewood Drive, Manhasset, New York.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about the
Yeah,
first.
I'm the owner of the building and the owner of the business. So the question was, I believe, the amount of employees. We have 24 employees right now, and with the expansion, we anticipate going to 29 employees. So if you need that, we have ADP records on payroll to show you that we have 24 employees.
No. Okay.
I do have another question you might be able to help me out with.
Sure.
So I drove by earlier in the rear parking lot where you're going to be making the warehouse. You have a lot of materials back there. What's going on with that?
As far as that material will be removed, you mean as far as what's in the parking lot right now?
What's in the parking lot? Do you keep that storage overnight, or is it just there for the day, or what?
That storage will be, part of it will be removed, and the rest of it will go into the new facility.
Okay. So part of it will be going to removed and the rest of the facility?
Correct.
But as for right now, though, you have it just there, correct?
Yeah, we just don't have room to put it anywhere, which is the reason for one of the reasons for the expansion.
Correct. Okay, I got it. Yeah, that's actually all the questions I have. Thank you.
Just want to make sure there's no more questions for me before I
Good, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ethan. So if I could just briefly wrap up, I just want to address the 5 factors that the board has to apply, and I'll do it very quickly. Proposed variances, in our opinion, will not have an adverse impact on the surrounding community. This is a fully developed site in an existing industrial park, and the requested relief is relatively modest and will not really be perceptible to the residential uses to the east. There are no feasible alternatives to the requested relief, and that is because given the existing conditions of the site, including the parcel's irregular shape, there are no feasible alternatives to the variances that would allow this particular expansion, warehouse expansion. The requested relief is not substantial. I don't believe that any of the requested variances are substantial, and several are recognized by the planning department staff as being minimal. The third, whether the variances will have any adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the area. As I mentioned, this is already a fully developed industrial site in a almost fully, I guess, a fully developed industrial park. And then lastly, the alleged difficulties are self-created, but as this board knows, that is not a dispositive factor in the decision-making process. These difficulties are deemed to be self-created because the applicant is charged with knowledge of the zoning restrictions at the time of the application. However, I would say that many of these variances are actually created by that irregular shape of the parcel. So not all of it is really, should not all be charged to the applicant. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. We have the full team here to answer questions.
Any questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
I'd like to adopt a neg deck for application 23-090.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve application 23-090.
Second.
All in favor? Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Do this next one.
We have application 23-089, Ruggiero Properties, LLC.
Yes, good evening. My name is Richard Urban. I'm an attorney. I represent Ruggiero Properties, LLC, in connection with this application. I have with me Robert Ruggiero. He is the sole member of the LLC and the manager.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
And can I have your name and address for the record, please?
Robert Ruggiero, 1360 Ridge Road, Laurel Hollow, New York.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. Do you want me to do it now or when we're done? Done. Okay, thank you.
For the record, we have a planning memo dated July 6th, 2023. We have a Town of Babylon environmental, stating that this will have no significant impact. Department of Environmental, July 11th. As fire prevention, no violations at this time. Suffolk County Environmental memo dated July 5th, 2023, saying that this is a matter of local determination. Let me see what we have here now. We have a site plan by Craig M. Lahat, dated, let me see what the date is here. See See it?
On that site plan, sir, it appears that when we filed the application, Mr. Lahat gave us an earlier site plan, which I submitted with the application. That site plan was dated April 8th of 2014. There was a modified site plan, which was done on May 17th, 2016, which was
Okay, we'll read
submitted
that into the
in
record.
connection with the prior application that was approved on this, for the same exact relief that we're seeking today. And for the board's information, we intend to
All right,
continue
just to read
using
into
the
the
later
record,
one.
we don't have that date on here. We have a tax map as an area map, and there's a set of plans also here. Give me 1 minute. Mr. Chairman left me hanging here. Who's this one? Site plan.
April 8th, 2014.
April 8, 2014. The site, okay?
And we have 4 photographs.
Well, and
4 photographs also.
4 photographs. What would you like to tell us about this application?
Well,
Thank you, Mickey.
the same application was granted in the past. I think it expired in November of 2018. So we're asking for the same relief that was requested at that point. Mr. Ruggiero had an automobile accident in late 2018 where he broke his neck, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't attend to
Can you just speak into that
renewing.
microphone?
He didn't intend to renew the application as he should have. But in any event, I've had an opportunity to review the Planning Division memorandum, and in that memorandum, they denote the fact that the survey submitted with this, or the site plan submitted with this application was the one from 2014, not the one that was approved, which was dated May 17, 2016. I will submit the copies of the old site plan to the Zoning Board of Appeals tomorrow or soon. And with respect to the other items on the planning board letter, which had to do with some existing signs on the premises, my client will immediately bring the property into compliance. Apparently, there were some streamers and for sale signs on the vehicles. In addition, the planning board had recommended that if this application was to be approved, that it would be limited to a 6-month renewal, so that my client would be motivated to complete the balance of the work necessary. I should say the work has been done, but the inspections necessary to complete the final, the issuance of the final CO on the premises. In that respect, the planning board had recommended 6 months. I'd ask for the board to give us a little more time than that, because the 6 months will come up pretty quick, and I don't want to bother the town to have to come back here if it's not necessary. Also, I should note that my client's operation has changed considerably since the prior applications. In the past, we had issues with there being a surplus of used cars on the premises. Based upon what's happening in the economy, his business has changed to primarily wholesale now. So if you've had an opportunity to go past the site, you'll notice that there's not many cars there at all offered for sale.
Okay, I'll turn this hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
Okay. Thank you for addressing majority of the issues stated in the planning memo. So I just want for clarification, the site right now is operating as a site plan that was submitted on May 17, 2016?
That's correct.
That's correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the signage will be removed, the streamers as well?
Yes.
Okay. And what were the other, did you guys receive the letter dated May 8th, 2023 with the outlining problems that you guys need to address?
I just want to make sure I have, yes, that's the list of items that are necessary to get the final CO.
You did receive that? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right. Yeah, so I have no further questions. Get those things done as soon as possible.
We will. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to hold this hearing, put it in reserved decision.
Okay.
You'll get the recommendation in the mail.
Okay. And-
We're waiting, you need to submit those plans to the zoning office showing the modified site plan that you're operating at.
Okay, no problem.
You
I'll do
need,
that.
you need to get in touch with the planning department.
Okay.
Right.
The planning department,
With the site, right.
yes.
We can work on that if, that was only if you were going in a different direction.
Yeah, that's correct, because we would have needed variances at that point. I understand. Okay. All right, I'll submit it hopefully tomorrow if I can get it from the architect.
Perfect.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Totally unprepared.
Something going down on Tyner Park. Next application is application, okay, I'm going to go with 22-258. Marco Quinjano. Property located in West Babylon.
Michael Arado, Captain Permit, 245 Route 109, Suite D. I'm going to be representing Marco.
You affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated May 31st, 2023, Environmental Control memo dated June 5th, 2023. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Site plan, survey rather, by Ralph Heel, dated March 10th, 2021. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, we have 11 photographs in the section. Curtis Hoffman, dated November 29th, 2020.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
All right, so we're seeking relief for side yard setback for a deck. The deck actually does not go outside of the existing foundation of the house. So the required setback is 10 feet. We're at 8.3. However, the house itself doesn't even meet the setback. So the deck never would meet the setback unless he brought in even more. With regards to the question of will the deck ever be enclosed, the homeowner currently has no plans to ever enclose this deck. This house was purchased as we were legalizing the deck itself. This house was sold, so the new homeowner, again, has no desire to enclose this deck or make it any sort of finished space. Second part of this application is for 2 front doors. Again, this house was purchased like this. The 2 front doors that we're talking about is right there. I know it looks like a glass slider. The screen is actually on a slider, but the door itself are actually like 2 French doors, like they open out. I have a floor plan of the house if you guys want to see what the room looks like behind there. So it's not an apartment, it's just kind of like a rec space, a rec room, office, whatever you want to call it. It's just kind of a means to get out of that room. It's not ever going to be used for an apartment or anything like that. The homeowner would like to keep it the way it is. You know, closing that up, siding it, framing it, insulating it would, you know, cost them some money that they really are not looking to spend right now to do that. And, you know, it is part of an extension in the front, so it's kind of dipped in. It's not really on the front part of the house. That's really all I got on that.
Okay. Turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
When was the property purchased?
It was purchased, the exact date, I'm not sure. It was in the we had this file for a long time. It was purchased, I believe, sometime last year, 2022. Let me see if I have the deed here.
I don't need a specific date, I just wanted the year.
I'm
So-
sorry. Oh,
I just
sorry.
wanted the year. So it was purchased last year with the windows, with the door there.
Yeah, everything there was existing. We just filed for the deck, because that's like what the violation was for.
Right.
And then right before that got approved, they said, wait a minute, this house has 2 front doors. We didn't even think that was part of an issue. They got rid of for the deck was the initial, well, they had 2 open permits, but then they got a violation on the deck. So we were taking care of the deck for them. As we were taking care of the deck, as that was getting all reviewed, they put it in for variance, and then right before we went to variance, they were like, wait a minute, this house has 2 front doors as well. So we're here on that.
There is 2 open applications, one for the front dormer and one for the sided addition, so.
And the side addition did not. Right. As well as, so the owner, the current owner now must have not had counsel at closing or something, because they
It's
purchased
mostly-
the house with open permits and,
That's mostly how this works, and we
Yeah.
deal with this stuff all the time. So it's just a matter of uneducated agents, attorneys, and everyone just wanting to make money. I mean, we
no,
deal
I
with
absolutely get it, but now they have definitely inherited a huge problem, because I know financially that's going to be a burden. Unfortunately, we aren't really favorable with 2 front doors, and I don't even understand that. So, yeah. Yeah, that doesn't really even look appealing. But it's, you know, you want to buy a house, and it comes with that sometimes. They are going to have to address the other open building permits as well.
Yeah,
So
we'll-
that's,
we'll take care of it.
yeah, that's something. And I maybe planning can recommend something to help you guys, other recommendations for this sliding door, or what you call
Well,
them?
it's a French doors.
French
Yeah,
doors.
they open out.
The French doors, yeah, because it should really be a window. That's what the plans, that's how the plans were submitted, yeah. Yeah.
Plan was submitted with windows.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I want to make a statement. You might want to address the 2 curb cuts too while you're at it. Put that on there, because, you know, you don't want to come back a 3rd time.
Circular.
No, I understand that, but they still need to, we'll grant it.
Nobody called that out. Like I said,
Okay.
Yeah.
Reputation. Keep it there, 'cause I know.
what is just so I have a better understanding, the concern with the 2 front doors? Like
We
having,
never approved them, that's why.
no, I know, but just what is the,
Honestly, I wouldn't want a sliding front door or whatever. I mean, you saying they're French?
yeah, they're French.
It looks like a slider to me.
It
but-
does. So however they initially had it, that screen actually goes on a guide. But actually, when you actually go into the house, like I have a picture of it, a close-up picture, and I have floor plans of it. It's like 2 French doors that open out. Because like I said, it's like a rec space. It's like an office. So maybe like when they created, they just wanted to step out from it. I really don't know why they did that.
So they
but
open out the doors?
They open out. Yeah.
Open them out, how do you open 2 French doors out with a screen?
It goes out over.
Right into a stump, right into a
No,
stairwell?
that's a stoop there.
Yeah, opens out into a stairwell. How do
Yeah.
you get in? You got to back off the steps?
No, look, I'll show you.
Is there internal access to that extension?
It's a little deceiving from the street. That's why I know you guys wrote on here, slider. Slide.
It only open one door at a time then?
I mean, you could just rip that, you can take that screen door off
Yeah,
the
the
track.
screen door just-
It doesn't have to stay there.
Yeah, the screen makes it.
Screen door, going grocery shop.
Okay. You might want to rethink that second front door.
I mean, two front doors, don't they usually lead themselves to like accessory apartments or something? Like
Well, that's what I was saying. The house isn't set up like an apartment.
Correct, but that's why we typically deny it. Yeah, it sets a precedent. Yeah, that's silly. I don't know.
It's only a two-bedroom, or one upstairs.
Yeah, I have no further.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail.
All right, sounds
All right.
good.
All right,
Thank you. Have a good night.
you too. Oh, that ends our live streaming for tonight's meeting. We will continue on with the rest